moving on to the most, not the most exciting thing to talk about, but I do love talking about films on this podcast the most. And we're talking about a film here. I think I watch it on Amazon Prime, so it's available on Amazon Prime. Yeah, it's definitely available on Amazon Prime. That's where I watched it. But we're talking about a really awesome film that I watched called Seven Psychopaths. And it's not the first time I watched this one. It was I think it's like the second or third time, but I just decided to talk about it because I think it's kind of underrated. But if you're unfamiliar with what Seven Psychopaths is, I'll just read the quick IMDb synopsis. A struggling screenwriter inadvertently becomes entangled in the Los Angeles criminal underworld after his oddball friends kidnap a gangster's beloved Shih Tzu. So yeah, it's kind of hilariously stupid premise, and our main character, Colin Farrell's character, is a screenwriter in Hollywood, and he's writing a film called Seven Psychopaths. and this film is called Seven Psychopaths, so it's pretty great. It falls within one of my favorite genres of film, and it's dark comedy. It's one of my favorites, like hard sci-fi. I love watching dark comedies. It's some of my favorites. And this, if you're unfamiliar with the film, it's written and directed by a guy named Martin McDonagh, who has directed 2 other films in the similar genre that are some of the best. He directed and wrote In Bruges, which also stars Colin Farrell, Ralph Fiennes, and I believe his name is Jack Gleason, the guy who plays Mad Eye Moody in Harry Potter. Another Harry Potter actor in this episode. And he also wrote and directed 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which also stars actors in this film, Sam Rockwell and Woody Harrelson, and also Frances McDormand's in that one. Big actress for that one too. So those films are absolute bangers. Both dark comedies and both some of the best of the genre. And in my opinion, this film is just as good as those ones. Even though the Metacritic rating and Rotten Tomatoes ratings might say otherwise, I don't really know why. Probably because this one's a little bit more ridiculous than those two, even though those two can be a little bit ridiculous at times. But I don't know. It's just I think this one is just as good as those, and that's no shade thrown at In Bruges or 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. Those films are probably some of the best of the years that they came out, like top 5, top 2 probably. I love those films, and I love this one. This one is so great. I mean, again, probably because of its ridiculousness, it's probably it gets taken back a little bit, but. I mean, it stars Colin Farrell, Woody Harrelson, Sam Rockwell, and Christopher fucking Walken. So, yeah, I mean, those are the 4 main actors, and there's other familiar faces in here, but those are the 4 main ones. So, I mean, what I absolutely love I love everything about this film, really. I mean, the story itself is hilarious and ridiculous, and that kind of plays into the comedic aspect of it. I mean, the acting in this film, and also in McDonagh's other films, it's just spectacularly perfect. Like, his casting is so good. I mean, the actors that he works with are just some of the best. I mean, Colin Farrell, being his own Irish self, really adds this extra element of comedy to it. Colin Farrell doesn't use some American accent that like he does in other films. He uses actual Irish accent since he is from Ireland, and his Irish accent just adds so much comedy to his lines. It's just perfect, and he's like that in Bruges as well. He's similar here. Sam Rockwell, I think, is one of the most underrated actors of all time. He's just one of those actors that gives this spectacular performance every single film and every single thing he's in. He always brings it, and he won an Oscar for 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri for Best Supporting Actor. So I guess he's not as underrated as I think he is anymore since he won an actual Oscar. But I still think he's underrated because I think he's one of the best actors working today, period. And he's pretty amazing and hilarious in this this film. Woody Harrelson just does this thing where he's absolutely hilarious, but like nightmarish at the same time. Like, he's incredibly scary and hilarious at the same time, and he's like the perfect actor to do that. I love Woody Harrelson, another underrated actor. And then finally, quietly, Christopher Walken's one of his best performances, I believe. He steals absolutely every scene he's in. I mean, again, he's also Christopher fucking Walken, but his lines, his delivery it's just perfect. I mean, obviously, it's no Deer Hunter or anything, but I mean, like, I don't know. He just adds this extra element to Seven Psychopaths that is also present in McDonagh's other films and is present in other dark comedies, where it has this extra, like, a meaningful contemplative aspect to it. It's kind of a big reason why I'm a fan of dark comedies rather than like slapstick comedies or your own like by the numbers comedies, is because, I don't know, there's an extra element that you can kind of take out of dark comedies, usually an underlying message to it, and that's present here and in McDonagh's other films. That is the reason why I love them so much, and I love the genre so much, along with it being absolute ridiculous offensive comedy, being hilarious. So, yeah, also, it's with McDonagh being the writer. He's just a really high quality writer. The writing is very, it's quick witted, it's sharp, sometimes contemplative, like I've described the genre as, and makes the darker, more dramatic or graphic moments hilarious. It also, makes things that happen in the very beginning kind of get called back and relevant at the end. Little things like a gun being jammed, early on in the film, or a simple promise being made by a character being called back at the very end. I thought that was really cool. And it's a sign of a really quality writer. And that's kind of consistent throughout his films, which I really liked. And also just the character arcs by his characters. Maybe not as much as in Seven Psychopaths, but like Three Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, it has an amazing character arc by Sam Rockwell's character and Frances McDormand's character in that film. Even in Bruges, Colin Farrell's character has a great character arc as well, and his characters develop through the film, and for a film to do that, that's hard to do. It's usually found in TV series, like really overarching character arcs, but when a writer can do that in a film, that it's a really good sign that it's a pretty quality writer. So yeah, writing is spectacular. But the only thing I probably would say that kind of might throw people off about not only Seven Psychopaths but McDonagh's other films is that they are the essence of the dark comedy genre. The dark, like the comedy in these films is very dark and can be quite offensive at times. And, in this day and age, that might throw people off, but doesn't throw me off. I'm a huge fan of dark comedies and offensive comedy, but if you are easily offended by things, I guess be fairly warned going into this one. Like, you might be offended. I don't really know how you would be offended by a film. Even though I probably have been in my past, and I'm probably just being a hypocrite, but, at least humor. I'm never offended by comedy. I don't really know why people can get offended by comedy, since it's comedy. It's, that's all it is. But, yeah, it's something that to be, conscious of going into it. But, I don't think it drags the film down. It's a dark comedy. Like, that's what you're there to watch. So, overall, I think the film does everything right to, the visual style, the writing, actually, going through the script of the film that Colin Farrell's character is writing and also being played out on screen at the same time, kind of having those parallel stories running at the same time, I thought was really cool. Characters kind of evolving throughout the film. It was really great. The twists and turns and the writing, really calling back to certain things that happen in the beginning of the film, coming back at the end. So yeah, an absolute, if you're a fan of dark comedies and Martin McDonagh's other films like In Bruges and Three Billboards, this is an absolute must watch. Does it have the movie magic? Absolutely. All 3 films of his have the movie magic. They would probably be some of my favorite films of those respective years that they came out. So yeah, all 3 of his films have the movie magic, and especially this one. This one actually might be my fave of the 3, but I don't know. I'd have to watch the other 2 again, and I really want to watch the other 2. I just can't find them anywhere. So yeah, I mean, again, I do love the genre, so I'm predisposed to like this film. So take that what you will. Like every time I watch, a hard sci-fi or a sci-fi film in general or a dark comedy, since they're my favorite genre of film, I'm probably always going to come with that disclaimer just to let you guys know that, like, I'm predisposed to probably like this one more than other people. So that I feel that that's important to, let people know that. But, yeah, so, I mean, again, like other dark comedies, I love how, like, especially McDonough's films always have this like underlining, contemplative type of element to them that like let you be able to take away something after you watch it. I think that's important for a film to do, and if a comedy can do that, and then that's pretty special. So hello there. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you're unfamiliar with this channel, this is Nerd Out Sanctuary. I'm your host, Michael. What do I talk about, you say? Well, I talk about anything nerdy. So that's movies, video games, TV shows, comic books every once in a while. Books, maybe not. I don't know. Anything that I feel like talking about. I'm a huge nerd. I hope you're a huge nerd, and I hope we can enjoy our nerdiness together here. This is a full audio podcast available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, the major podcast platforms. So consider going over to those and checking out the full version of the episode. And other past episodes, please leave me a review and subscribe on those platforms. If you don't want to do that, clipped, shorter versions of those full episodes will be posted here on YouTube. So consider subscribing and liking the videos for more to support me and future content that I will be producing in the future on nerdy stuff. So yeah, thank you, and see you on the next one.